Greetings. The time for the video has come. I've returned. I've come to tell you something. I've come to tell you something about the conflict. The conflict between the the ones that do not have the Y chromosome. You know, the way they're like, the way they are now. They think the world of the circumcision. They think that's their world. That's for them. That a world with circumcision is one for women. I think that that's why the women in the USA are all about that. They think that's their to their benefit. Well, ladies, allow me to inform you of something you can think about, and you can decide later whether or not it is true. But first, a message from our sponsors. I don't have any sponsors, so I guess we'll just move on without that. Well, ladies, what do you think is going to happen to you when, well, they are no longer threatened by me? Would they not already have everything if I was not a threat to them? Would they not have already, claimed all of it and have a totally secure rule like they planned? Like they had all, organized, prepared to do? If I had not shown up at the last minute and put my foot in the door and said, nah, your time is not yet here. As a matter of fact, I have the last word. When they're no longer threatened by me, you are going to be the next ones to go. After my people have been subjugated again, as we were in the fucking European lands before we made our way over here and threw off the yoke of that oppression, you will be the next ones to go. But after we threw off the yoke of the oppression there, came back eventually to Europe. And now they're having another revival over there, I believe. Especially after World War II. Which just revealed, if you have all the facts of what happened there, that's you realize that those people are the fucking problem. All the ones that have been practicing that cultural violence. That desktop image is so incredible. I'm sure you can imagine yourself what I am looking at on the screen right now. Not my own incredibly hairy face, but a certain lovely maiden and another certain lovely maiden doing something very particularly maidenly and with a still shot of great enjoyment being expressed. Oh my goodness. Anyway, what I was saying, I think I already said it. I think you get the idea, right? Yeah, that's why you're helping them, right? Because you think I am the one who's oppressing you. Because in their world, which they already basically had, we threw them off, but they were had the rest of the world, not the USA. Or at least most of the rest of the world, and were getting the rest of the world, not the USA. And now, ever since World War II, they've claimed the USA, or been slowly taking it over, and almost had it. And while those people are controlling the overall world, the society, men like me, natural men according to nature, we are going to be a thorn in your side, women, always, always, because we cannot respect you as equals if you do not respect us as like our bodies as deserving of equal respect. You know, if you can't change our bodies like that, or support that, or condone that, or endorse that. You need to be opposed to that. You need to be specifically opposed to that. You have to take a stance. If you don't, you're part of the problem. But as long as you're doing that, we are going to be opposed to you. However, if that's no longer an issue, then we are the ones you want. We are the ones who are on your side, who are going to be good for you. That's the way it works. You think they're like being good to you now because you think you maybe have some sort of control over them? That's only because they're threatened by me and my people. And people of my identity group. Not that they're like, not like I have a fucking... We don't do that hive mind thing. No, it's not. We're all totally in just the chaos of individualism. We just haven't all be in agreement. Because this is like below civilization level. The level where this is important is foundational to civilization. If you get rid of this, then civilization is going to fall. Because this nature of man is part of what sustains the stability of civilization. You do not want to get rid of this. They do not have this kind of stability. And I don't know if I should really call myself stability. Sometimes I kind of have some. I think there might be. I think I might have learned something rather interesting I wasn't quite expecting. I don't know yet. I think it's too soon to talk about. I don't want to alarm anyone. I think I could probably help with exorcisms, though. If people needed exorcisms, I could probably help with that type of thing. Accompany a priest. You would need the priest, yeah, for a specific exorcism. But I would be able to help do what the priest is not able to do. That the demons probably find a way around. Anyway. What else did I want to tell you? So I was watching that movie Hostel. I rented it at the library. I rented the trilogy. I didn't watch the third one, and I actually kind of just mainly fast forwarded to the good parts because like it starts out and there's all that like people world stuff with people doing people things like dancing and talking and partying and having interactions and stuff like that. And that's all kind of forbidden to me now. I've been prohibited from participating in anything like that, and I find no joy watching it. I find no way I can relate to those experiences anymore. No way I can enjoy that. and it just bothers me. So I just want to see those people die. I want to see them all get killed. And so, fortunately, I was able to fast forward to the good parts where that starts happening. But I want to remind you of the very end of that movie. That's going to be like, I was like, oh man, that's like what I'm going to do to him. But the irony is, like, those people, the people who do that kill thing, that sport killing business in the darkness, that's a real thing. I know it's a real thing. That's kind of what has been attacking me in a way, in like the real world way. I think there's in real life, you I don't know this for a fact. I don't have any like evidence of this, but in real life, what I personally believe and am willing to trust 100% on faith is that people are actually good. They are good. And people aren't going to be willing to do that kind of stuff. Not enough to support a conspiracy, an organization like that. No. That's there aren't enough people in the world who would be willing to do that to other people for that to be a realistic thing. That doesn't mean there aren't people out there who do that, but there certainly aren't enough to have an organized crime ring where that happens. However, there are some where they do something very similar to that, psychologically, spiritually, and non-violently, non-physically violently to a person, and that's what I've been dealing with for the longest time now. Someone bought me, captured me, sold me, and put me in there, and I want some of that fucking money, people. Especially because you're having such a good time with me. And not because of anything else. Not because of what you're doing to me, but because of what I'm giving to you. I've been able to hone my craft, entertaining the toughest crowd. Anyway, that's fucked up. That needs to stop. However, I'm not really worried about them coming after me in real life to silence me about what's going to happen to them. And do you want to know why? That's because if I die, that puts their exposure at greater risk than if I'm alive. And I believe they know that. That's why they haven't had someone kill me yet. As much as Trumpty Dumpty probably wants that to happen. He's probably been trying to make that happen. Probably put out hits to actually cause that to happen, and there just hasn't been anyone who's been like willing to do that. Probably because some people were like, wait a minute, do you want us to just like kill this guy? Like our professional services. They're like, we are fucking legitimate freaking hit people. And you want us to kill this poor man over here. And you're like, no, that's not the kind of business we do. Like yeah, that's just, I think that would, that's not the kind of thing that would, they would be able to feel right doing mercenary work for. Because I don't think they would be able to justify killing me in any sense with that kind of incentive to do so. But also, I think that they know that I'm already interconnected in a lot of different places. There's a lot of different like lines that are connected to my person. And if I die, all those are going to kind of like trigger. And when those trigger upon my death, then there's going to be a return of a bunch of information that I've disseminated that has now been gone, but has been collected in various places, gone around in the darker places of the internet where there isn't tracking or stuff like that. And that's going to have a return of popular support, using me like a martyr to, and that will expose that group a lot harder than Trump being exposed will do. Which is kind of an interesting situation. Like, I'm not working with them. I'm certainly against them. But I'm also the kind of guy who, like, I don't go sticking my nose where it doesn't belong unless I've got a reason to go there. Like, unless I'm following a trail of blood because, like, I saw someone wounded run into somewhere and they were calling for help, I have a reason to go look in there. If that happens, anyone should. Don't just go leave those people. Fucking get some help. Don't just pretend like you didn't see that. But if you're just, like, suspecting people of things and, like, going looking through their stuff, trying to find stuff, don't. Stay out of that. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble if you start doing that with people you aren't ready to fucking fight, because they always get worse. At the same time, I'm also kind of like in the same kind of category group as that kind of organization. With the kind of organization that I have, or at least will have. It might be a better way to put it. Right now it's just me, but I mean in the future there'll be more members and stuff in it. But not because I do the things they do, or because I'm evil or hostile or malevolent like that, but because what I do is in the nature of the darkness, the world of darkness, and the underworld. And the things we do are not for the public at large to know about or understand. So, while I don't have an interest in keeping them able to do what they're doing, I do have an interest in securing their rights to do their rights to have a world of darkness without having it threatened. So that makes me not their enemy. I'm more like a rival, I guess you could say. I'm more like the Husis to their Machias. If you played Cold Steel, Machias is like the he's the commoner class person, non-nobility, you could say. But his family has like risen to substantial social power and is like part of the social movement that is securing more power for non-nobility and limiting the powers of nobility, which was like exorbitantly had exorbitant authority over everyone else. And so he's kind of like a prominent, strong, idealistic, non-noble person. May as well could be a noble person with like the way he is, but doesn't have their that blood identity, which I happen to have for some reason. Not Not because I'm like Reen. Well, actually, no, because Reen had a good family. I don't have a good family. I'm not like, I'm not in any of those stories. They don't make stories about people like me. If they make stories about people like me, they usually make me into a bad guy or something. I'm not the bad guy, alright? I could be, but I don't want to be the bad guy, and I have to fucking fight that all the time. And I don't, would appreciate it if you stopped trying to antagonize me to be a bad guy. It's not going to help anyone. But Eustace is like a noble person. And they're rivals when they fucking end up in the same class, which is, I don't know, like not really like. I guess that's unusual. I forget if that was if all the nobles had their own classes, or if they were intermixed, and I forget how they had that set up. Whatever the case, they're in the same class, and they have like this bitter rivalry going, and they hate each other. Marcus is more the one who provokes that, but Eustace doesn't take any of his shit, and he gives it right back to him. And so it ends up getting worse and worse. And but eventually, these rivals have to cooperate, and they learn how to cooperate. They never become like, yeah, like they always stay ideologically, maybe not ideologically different, because I think throughout the course of that, a new ideology begins to develop of a kind of greater sense of equality that doesn't have anything to do with social standing, social quality. It's more just an equality of nature. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of like what I am. I would be like that rivalry. We could probably cooperate, but it's not going to be easy to cooperate with people that are that freaking biased towards people like me, and with me being so mm, unashamedly proud of who I am. Or me being unashamed of who I am, I guess I could say. I'm not really, it's not really pride, it's just I don't feel bad about who I am. And so I don't take their crap, and I fight back. That makes them mad. Because I'm fucking good. And they think I'm fucking just trying to be better than them. And they take it as a fucking personal insult or something. You got the point though? I don't know what the fuck I'm still talking about right now. I just wanted to let you know that the women, figure it out please before you end up losing me on the field of battle. Because if you get rid of me, they are going to turn against you, and you are going to be subjugated underneath that. And you're not going to have me to help you, which you would if you were not against me. But while you're like with them, you will never have me. I'll be against both of you. And I guess if you both work together, you could probably fucking get rid of me, I would think. Most likely. They couldn't do it alone, you couldn't do it alone, but the two of you, with some kind of like toxic evil partnership, could probably do it. But that's not going to help either of you. If you do. If you actually go through with it. Okay, think about it this way, women. Imagine, like, notice how insecure they are about me, about my power, about things I do. Anything they think that I seem to have, like some kind of
superiority with, or some kind of authority over them about, some sort of anything like that. Notice how insecure they get about that, and how they like are always trying to like challenge me, always trying to compete with me or fight me or demonstrate some sort of superiority over something, and like that. If you've also been watching, you see that I never am concerned about that kind of stuff, and it's not an issue to me. But if I'm end up ever better than them, they just get mad at me, even more so. And I don't feel that way about them. Like, oh, they're better at this than me. Okay, good. At least they're not fucking greater assholes anymore because of it. They're gonna be all smug and leave me alone for a bit, which is fine. Notice how they're like that. When I'm gone and they're no longer focused on me as a threat, all that you are, you're gonna start getting that from them. They're gonna start seeing everything you do as a threat to who they are. As a threat to their authority, their superiority, their power, all that. You are going to be threatening them, and they're going to be giving that to you. And you're going to see that, like, eventually when they do that, there's really no difference between them or I. And, like, what we're able to do or anything. The only reason there's a difference is because they believe they're different. And they make themselves less when they do so. And as long as they're doing that, they're never going to be able to, like, match me. But if I'm no longer in the picture, that won't be a problem. And then you're going to have trouble with them. You may think you have them in hand now, but not then. Not after that. Not because they're going to get anything from me, but because of what they'll believe. They'll believe they are equals with the natural man at that point. I don't know why they don't just say natural man if that's what they want. Seems like a waste, you know? They just go through all that trouble just to be normal. I mean, if you were normal and you went through all that trouble, don't you think you'd be better? Because you wouldn't. You wouldn't even have to suffer. People wouldn't be mad at you for your human rights violations. So, please consider these words: female beings, peoples, species, creatures of the planet of Venus, wherever it is you come from. And I don't know. You are all strange to me. Might as well be aliens. Except I saw there was a really cute one on the street today. I was walking by to the library, but it was too early and the library wasn't open. But when I was crossing the street, she stopped me and she asked me if I had $1 or some change I could spare her. And unfortunately, I did not. I do not have any money at all to spare. I do not have any money at all, let alone any to spare. So, I apologized and told her no. She was quite the cutie. And, goodness gracious, as I was walking back, I couldn't help but just be thinking of these things. These things I wanted to do with her. Not murderous things, of course. I would never have thought about doing any sort of serial acts of breakfast. No, but seriously, it's just like maybe I could have just like things I was thinking, then Oh my goodness. You know what it's like walking around like that? And it's just like, and then there's like other people, other maidens walking by, and they see you, and they're like, come on. And I'm like, oh god, what am I gonna do? I'm like, any one of them at any time, they could just fucking, how would I be helpless? Be helpless with what they do, with the way those thoughts are making me. How subject I am to that kind of thing. But I think next time I'm going to try and pick up a street maiden, if I can. I normally just, like, say whatever, but usually women get mad if I ever just, like, try to flirt with them. For some, I don't know, is it because I'm too hairy? Because I'm ugly? Is it because women don't like to flirt? They don't like sex? The image on my desktop seems to indicate otherwise. They feel sexually harassed when a man suggests sexual activity. How are we, like, isn't that like, if we're not in professional, like, workplace together, isn't that, like, okay and acceptable, normal? Is that really a problem? Not like, it's not like I'm overbearing with it or anything. I don't know. I'm going to try, though. I'm going to try. Next time. Maybe I'll see her again. She had some knee socks. The stripes. She was quite the cutie. Maybe I'll see her again if I go to the library. I don't have anything else to tell you. But if you happen to see Chloe Foster, please tell her that I'm looking for her. And I intend to talk to her in person, private. Inside my apartment. By herself. So for her to come visit at once. She's probably happily married by now, I think. I think she's probably happily married and probably has a family and kids. So don't worry about it. I am happy for you, family. What else do you want to know? Did I tell you about the... yeah, I did tell you about that. I can't log into my YouTube account. I don't know what you want me to do. I can't upload anything. I tried. On my YouTube account, they're like, oh, there's been some suspicious activity on your Google account, so please use your fucking phone to do this verification. Oh, I don't have a phone right now. I can't use that. Dang it. And now I can't even log in to upload the videos I've been making, so I don't know what to do. I'm thinking I should look on Squarespace, and I might be able to buy some more video storage space to use. Because right now there's only 30 minutes unallotted with my subscription. But it probably doesn't cost a whole lot for more, I think. That's just the base level. It's probably not too much for additional. I don't know what the price is though, but that would solve the problem. But then again, I need a lot, because what these videos, they're like for like 30 minutes, hour, whatever, in whatever. Maybe I could just have them be download links. A file to download. But then I would still need to store the stuff up there. But then, I don't know, is that like still time? I wonder what they do. I can have a download file. Yeah, that might work. I might be able to figure that out. I'll see if I can do that, maybe when I go back to the library today. I eat pasta, bow tie pasta. Marinara sauce. by some marinara sauce. And I've been having dreams lately. I've been dreams lately. Heart-wrenching dreams. Heart-wrenching dreams that leave me in extreme states of loneliness. Oh dear. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I don't think there's anything I can do about it. I never get any sort of communications from anyone ever. That'd be cool. I tell you, I'm trying to, one of my plans at Wave Walker Industries is opening up the adult media branch department, adult media department. And we're going to do, I'm going to specialize in yaoi materials, yaoi films and stuff like that. I know how excited that makes you. I'm going to be pretty good at that though, I think. I kind of, just don't even think nothing of it. But yeah, I'm probably not going to be in any of them. I mean, look at me, I'm kind of like, I don't really have much of a I'll if I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna play like the role of like a cafe bartender or something, and just like talking. Not gonna have any sort of on bed set scenes, unclothed scenes. I'm gonna be doing I'm specializing in yaoi short films. I have a few in mind, ideas in mind already, but again, that's just not really something I can do by myself, obviously. How can I do it with me? You need at least 2 people. You could do it with 2 people alone. Yeah, you come with some script, put a tripod somewhere. Boom, done. Well, not done, exactly, but you don't need a camera person if you have a tripod. However, I did try to reach out professionally to some professionals I am interested in working with on this subject, on this topic. Particularly, and listen, don't get the wrong idea. This is actually something really, really important that I'm concerned about for the rights of young men. I don't want to see getting abused out there in the world. I don't want to see the fucking creepy old dudes doing to them like what they fucking giving them less than they deserve. You know, I mean, there's really nothing I can really do about the women. Women do that also. They get kind of screwed in that industry, but there's nothing I can do to help them. They avoid me like the plague. They think anything I try to do to help is like an offense to their intelligence or something. Like I'm challenging their authority by like offering them any sort of assistance or something, and that just becomes a problem. So there's nothing I could do for people who refuse to be helped by me. But I would improve that entire industry too. But I do want to because the yaoi industry is just it's still untapped. It is yet to be really blossom into a thriving subculture. That's not quite there yet. There's no. But that's what I'm going to get into. I'm not worried about it. If you want to try, get in there. Go ahead. I have nothing to worry about because my media always going to be on the top notch. I'm not really going to have to worry about the competition because I'll be able to compete with quality no matter how much quantity is out there. And which is fine. Yeah, you can be better, but still be competitive, and I'll be able to make a living that way. Uh, so that's one of the things I want to secure. I want to prevent that from becoming like a kind of slave ring for young men who assume a role of a female person. So, and I don't want to see them get taken advantage of by creepy old people using like a kind of like adult authority of mind that they're not yet aware of. Nobody's yet aware of that until they make it to that level. A lot of adults aren't even aware of that yet until they reach that level. It's unusual that someone of my age is even like at that point. Unless they've had an extraordinary life like I have. But for the most part, I think it's usually something you see around like people who make it to the top of their game. By the time you get to the top of your game, well, you're probably like in your late 40s or 50s or something like that, right around there, I would think. In any sort of like normal business situation, normal professional situation. I mean, you get there. There's more senior people. I mean, they're naturally going to have more of the authority, more of the benefits, all that stuff. But in time, they're gonna retire. You're gonna get more. You're gonna have to go through do all the low jobs and slowly start working your way up. But eventually, maybe like 10 years or so, 15 years in an industry, probably find your way to the top. If you're good. But that kind of there's something up there that's freaking. It's it's what those people. It's why that happens. It's why some people, like you seem to like know that some people are like have it or something. And why it's usually them. They kind of like achieved that level of it's a kind of personal authority. And there's a lot of those in the freaking adult industry. A lot of those kind of people. That's how that stuff gets controlled. Some of the women do that. Well, yeah, women do that as well as men. Um, but I don't want to see. I don't know if there's really anything I could do about the women industry at this point either, because of how like deeply it's already like entrenched it already is. Like before I even was born, it was already like that was already like a huge freaking thing. Anyway, there's not really much I can do about that at this point. But this other one is still new, hasn't yet been developed. I can probably, if I get there in time, find the help I'm looking for before it's too late. I think I might be able to secure those rights and interests before they're abused and it becomes something toxic and evil, like the adult media industry is for women these days. That's why it's hard to find good porn. Well, it's fine if you don't really know what you're looking at, and it all looks good to you. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy what you enjoy. But some of us, I guess, maybe the more you watch, and I've been watching for a long time. I've been watching porn ever since I was about 12 years old, I guess. How many years is that? 32 years? Or no, 22 years ago. 22 years ago. And you fucking get out this. Not to include those magazines I used to look at the fucking Barnes and Noble. I was a kid before then, but that doesn't count. I don't think that's not really videos. I guess if you've been watching as long as I have, you tend to notice a lot of more subtle things. That make it that differentiate the best from the pretty good. The best from the good, yeah. And the best of the best from the best. A lot of I don't think it's really all that hard to make that stuff. But, well, the ingredients you need are basically you need the actors. I'm using that in the dual gender form of the word. I think that's the original intention of that word. Is actor means both women and men who act, on stage, but all actresses as well. Actors and actresses. There, they have to want to be there first of all and enjoy what they're doing. If they are not happy to be there, if they're like somewhat, feel like somewhat like they are not 100% into what they're doing, willingly doing it, consensually, not feeling like they're like under any sort of financial pressure or like social pressure or like under any like other influence. It's just like, hey, like this is something like I would have fun doing. Like yeah, sure, it was kind of a little bit, a little bit scandalous that to do, and you probably don't really want to be like talking about it at work or something that you're doing, especially if you work in like a normal job at like a bank or an office or a school or something. It's like probably don't want to be like letting that go around a whole lot. But there's nothing wrong with you like being interested in that kind of activity just for fun. That's I think that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first thing you need. You need the people to really love what they're doing and enjoy it, have fun while they're doing it. And then you also need the business part of the industry, the ones that are making the performance into a product, and that product being sold. That also needs to be clean. There can't be any corruption or shady stuff going in there. It needs to be clean, and it needs to be fair for all the people involved, and the actors and actresses should be getting the largest amount of profits, percentage of profits, because of the type of performance it is, in particular. This isn't like a Hollywood film where the director is the main is the main. In a porn, if there's a story, that's still like kind of like not number one. It's still like second priority at most, or at least. Or the main thing happening there is the personal people, the actresses, the actors doing what they're doing. That they are the main. They are the entire reason why there's any profit to be made. They are the anchor point, the central good, most important element, the source of creative inspiration. That is who they are. That creative inspiration, it comes forth from the human body, from like their activity, their energy, their enjoyment. That's theirs. That's their personal energy as a human being. They should get they get the highest profits. It should be like that. But I mean, that doesn't mean you need to like be like totally unbalanced with it. But I mean, they should get the lion's share. And yeah, the director's still like very important though too, especially um, yeah, being able to read the emotions, being able to read the not just the emotions of what's happening there, but the emotions of what's happening through the lens in the dimension of consciousness. Did I mention that yesterday? Consciousness. That's like a. That's that dimension is not. It doesn't happen in space time. It happens like where there are no limits to time or distance. You can be 2,000 years in the future and all the way in the Andromeda galaxy in an instant. You don't have to, there's no travel time to go there. You can just be there. The thing is, the reason why you're not often like confronted with people from the future or people from the past in the plane of consciousness is because there needs to be a point of connection at the other end. So either someone in the past needs to already know about you or know of you. And see, that's what that's kind of one of the things I've been trying to tell you about that prophecy. If you want to know more, if you want to experience some of these mystical things about this, and you honestly believe, and you want to know what I'm talking about, access that through me. Like, use me as like a focal point, a resonance source to channel energy through, or around, or to, and perceive that with my energy. And you'll see, you can connect to people in the past as they are relative to me, as that prophecy that they knew a person would come and do what I'm doing. Because this is like a base, like I said, this is like the foundation of civilization. This, what I've done is nothing new to humanity, nothing new to nature or civilization. This is what is underneath everything. This is the foundation. But people have just forgotten because they've all been living in civilization. They forgot like what's underneath the street, what's underneath all the sewers, underneath all of that. What is underneath it? They just forget because they never see it and never interact with it. There's never anything they need to worry about. It's just always there, secure and stable. And when they forget, they begin to like the system has been to like acknowledge the presence there without needing to understand it or do anything about it. But as they've forgotten, they've jumped to the conclusion that like we don't even need to acknowledge it, and they could like turn the system around and do something else with what's supposed to be acknowledged there to sort of profit on their own. And that, very, very bad. Do not do that, because you're going to disrupt the foundation. The foundation is going to go away, and then civilization is going to start crumbling and collapsing on top of it. And you had no reason to be doing that either. You're trying to like take advantage of people by doing that, and that's not. No, don't do that. If you're going to take advantage of people, you need to be a little bit more prudent about how you do so. Don't try and don't screw people over if you do that. Like, it's alright if you sell them something. But you shouldn't be trying to you know what I'm saying? Shouldn't be trying to do something that's going to be particularly harmful to them. They're going to lose a whole lot. Like, you can sell more than what they are getting by how you talk something up, but they still get what they're getting, and that's still a good thing. What you people are doing is you're selling something and they're not getting anything at all. You've taken that out completely, and you've put your own interests there. And they don't get your interests. You get all of that. They're supposed to be getting the foundation. And instead, you're getting them what they would be having returned from the foundation. They would be sending that to the foundation and be coming back up. But instead, they're sending that to you, and you're keeping it. You're not giving them anything back. You can't do the foundation like that. Not if you're one of those. I mean, obviously not. You're not the foundation. Come on now. Don't try and argue with that. Egypt. How long were those people there before you got there? You know what I'm saying? been around for a lot longer. There's a lot more to it than y'all just trying to like make your way. And did you know like all the stuff that like some of the Greek inventors were capable, like Archimedes, like all these like technologies that were pre-existing in that time. Man, don't just. I'm not saying there's one way or the other. I'm just saying it's not all that. It doesn't all come from that. That's something new on top of the foundation, part of civilization itself. Important, sure. Maybe there's a role for that in what's above civilization in the heavens, possibly. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying it seems likely that there is a significant spot for that, at least in a place and time, for the establishment of what's in the heavens. Not that it needs to always be like that, but that same way like how the foundation can be left underneath civilization, and you don't need to do anything with it. Just remember that it's there, and or don't. You don't even have to remember it's there. Just don't do anything that would like purposely remove it from being there. Like it's supposed to be there. It needs to be there. Most important. But yeah, there's probably something you could say for the heavens for that part. But also with this side too. So you would definitely need both. I would say you need that to establish the goodness of the devil, probably. Um. Well, hold on. I'm getting distracted. I totally got pretty far off track, and I want to get back into it, into what I was talking about. Something about adult film, media, business, foundation, authority, power, individual power. Anyway, I'm not going to be the lead. I don't want. I'm not going to be the leader of that branch of the adult media industry that I'm working on, and that's not going to be the only part of adult media I do. But that's the one I think I'm going to be um, uh, particularly good at doing. Particularly have some well known for my products there. Hopefully, and that's my goal anyway. My vision, my hope. But I was talking to some professionals, see if they would want to work with me for that, and be the femboy pharaoh. Is what I don't know. I just thought of that at the time. I didn't really put much thought into that name, but someone who would be able to look after everyone's in that group industry's interests. I don't know, whatever. How did I even get on this freaking topic? Did you want me to finish the thought about the freaking goodness of the devil? I don't want to get too off topic, but it was like, no, it's just basically where like, the devil wants to, if the devil wanted to replace God at the beginning, because he had a better vision, or believed he had a better vision than God, and attempted to usurp the authority of God when he was cast out into hell. Eventually, throughout time, that becomes the devil becoming a benefactor to humanity. And that benefactor to humanity ends up with a kind of return which satisfies the devil's personal desires from the very beginning. Whether or not it doesn't need to come from people, but he will recognize that he has done what is greater. And that's nothing you fucking Christians should get mad about either. That's kind of why God cast him out. He was granting the devil that, what the devil wanted. But the way to have that was not what the devil thought. It was not in God's place. The way to have that was to be in the devil's place. But don't you go fucking worshiping the devil. He's just having a lot of trouble. That's because the destiny of humanity is to be greater than God. That's how that works. So when humanity fulfills its destiny, or you fulfill your destiny as a human being, then you be able to attribute that to the devil, making that possible. And if the government's watching right now, that's kind of what I meant by that first missive I sent you about how we needed to, how the culture in the USA needed to take a position to allow for Christianity to run its course, finish its thing. That is, don't get mad, you folks. That is not because, that is because that is the will of God, for us to become greater than God. And that's the will of any father for their son, or should be, anyway. That's not the way it works with, it wasn't in my family, hell no. And usually in that whole system, where those people are always, fighting for superiority over one another, they tend to not want their sons to become greater than them. They just want to see them become, I don't know, probably good, but not quite as good, I guess, and it tends to have a lot of conflicts. But that's not how it should be. If you're a parent and you ever feel threatened by your child becoming great, you need to, that's your problem, and you need to take care of yourself. Don't take that out on your child. But that corresponds with the divine reality. It is God's wish for humanity as God's creation to fulfill higher potential than God. This is actually in accordance with with what I've told you about the meaning of life before. Well, at least I wrote it. I haven't told you. I don't think I've ever told you on video before. I'm going to be going out to Pioneer Square and preaching this stuff eventually, but I was really sick recently, and I'm only starting to feel better now. It's kind of actually, it was only a few days I was sick. I think I was able to head it off and start healing, and then I also think they turned off the don't you even start. I think they started turning off the radiation that was causing the sickness. And then I've been doing a lot of sleeping today too. I don't know what it is, but and now I'm feeling pretty good. Right. So I guess I'll just I'll just now I'm not going to create a new video. I'm just going to start over, just explain it right here. Leave it all in one video, and I'll just put that in the minutes or something, or create some, maybe I'll do some editing later. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so first I'm gonna walk through this from the very beginning, from like the most fundamental aspect of like the logical chain of events, so that you know this to be true and not a matter to take on faith. So the best way that, as far as I'm aware, that you can be certain of the existence of a ultimate divine source for all of creation and existence is by following a tracing the wire. Follow the wire all the way back. You know, all the way to where it goes. In other words, like, find something that you like, something that you would say that this is good, or even better, that you love, something that you love, one of your favorite, most enjoyable things, one of the things that you think makes life absolutely worth living for, to enjoy. This is, I wouldn't go so far as to say that about this beverage, this powdered beverage of the Crystal Light variety. This is good. This is very good. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like some powder. Fill it up. Water. Now it's like juice. Easy. And sugar-free too. So that's like, maybe it's going to help keep me nice and trim. I'm not going to stand up this time. I'm not wearing any underwear right now, just so you know. And I don't want to show you all mine. I don't want to show you the moon of my life before we're, they say it's bad luck to see a bride before her wedding or something. Just kidding. She's not my... don't get mad, fair maiden. Yeah. But trace that wire all the way back to the source. So something that's good. Be like, what's good about this? What makes that good? It tastes good. All right, yeah, it tastes good. It quenches my thirst when I'm thirsty. That feels good when I'm thirsty, because when I'm thirsty, that sucks. Fucking that hurts. I get, like, my mouth gets parched. Sometimes, like, it could make my throat dry, and that could hurt to talk if I do too much without drinking. And so it's good to have your thirst quenched and be hydrated and drink. And if you're going to drink something, it may as well taste extra good. Add, like, sugary, fruity drink. Except without the sugars, or needing to grow a fruit tree and squeeze all the oranges and stuff. And, especially if it can taste as good as that. Water's good too. Water's great. But if water can taste like juice, sometimes, most of the time, you probably like to have the flavored version to quench your thirst. A lot of times. That's it, fair. For the most part, I think that's fair. I mean, I understand there's a lot of people who are just like, nah, water and only water. That's the... Alright, yeah. For most people, though, I think it's probably fair to say, like, you probably have some sodas in the fridge, or various juices or things like that, because you don't want to just drink water all the time. That's why it's always been a thriving business. The nectar of the drinks, flavors, nectar of the gods. No. Oh, that does remind me of something else. Almost, it's like a vague memory of something I wanted to tell you about. Hopefully it'll return all the way later. Well, it's okay. You can come on out. They're gonna love that one. Oh, it's like anyway. What makes that good? Quenches the thirst. There's other reasons why it's good to have your thirst quenched. You need to stay hydrated regularly to keep all your bodily organs, like, organized and functioning, stay alive, process out wastes, things like that. There's another reason why it's good. There's a lot of reasons why it's good when we drink something and enjoy something like a cold beverage, non-alcoholic beverage. There's no toxins in this one. A lot of reasons why it's good. But let's keep going. Let's keep following that wire back. Our bodily organs functioning, to be hydrated. You need to drink at least so much water. Not going to die of thirst, because you will die if you don't drink water. Eventually, you have to drink water. Or consume water at some point. It doesn't necessarily have to drink it. You could, great sources of water, if you don't have water, is plant life. There's a lot of water in that. Like lettuce, leaves, those things contain a lot of water. You can eat them, and you'll get water that way. Be careful not to get too much salt. That's the problem with eating meats for water, is that like blood has salt in it, and the body has salt in it, and so you won't get as hydrated by eating flesh than you will by eating vegetable life or fruit life. So keep that in mind. If you're dying of thirst somewhere, you can eat vegetables, and that will help you somewhat. I mean, nothing's going to replace finding a nice, cool stream of water to drink from, especially if it's clean and safe. But if you find a nice, chewy leaf that is not poisonous, you could probably chew on that for a while and get some moisture from it. Keeps your body alive. Why is that good? Because, well, if you weren't alive, you'd be dead. If you were dead, then, well, you'd be dead. There would be nothing to say there's anything good. If you were dead, you wouldn't have anything to drink or say or notice anything that was good if you were dead like that. Your body, at least, wouldn't. Just stay with me. Don't overthink it. Don't jump ahead. We'll get there. Assume you don't really know any of that yet. I mean, we're starting at the very beginning. And but yeah, no. If you're dead, you're not going to be able to enjoy all those things that we enjoy in life because you'll be dead. I mean, if you could, why like that's why when people die, they don't freaking come back. They don't like. If they die and we bury something with them, bury their like favorite foods with them, they're not gonna like snack on those foods when we like bury that into the ground. All those are just gonna stay there. They're not gonna like eat those later. So after you die, you're not gonna be enjoying these things that we know to be good while we're alive now. And we know them to be good now. You can't know them to be good after we die now. You can predict, you see, it's likely or, it's probably or believe or have faith, but we don't know. You can't say that is knowledge because we got no scientific method to prove that knowledge is in fact knowledge. So if you die, and there's nothing you'll be able to say is good about anything, why is that? Why is it good to stay alive then? Why is it good for you to be alive to say things are good? Because it feels good to enjoy good things, right? It's good to enjoy. That's why when we go to the produce store and we're buying apples, we look for the apples that we want to buy. We buy the choice apples, our choice apples, not all the best ones. Maybe you do, maybe not. Doesn't matter. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's all up to you. But you have your pick for the most part. You pick the apples you want, and you choose the apples you choose usually for a reason. Sometimes maybe you just pick them at random because you don't have time to look, but sometimes you'll like look at the the color of them, you'll maybe see if they got any like bruises or see how ripe they might appear, and you'll appraise them somewhat, and you'll choose the ones you choose because presumably they are the best ones to choose, and they're going to be more good than the ones you did not choose. And it's good. And the only reason we do that is because it is good to enjoy good things, and it's even better to enjoy really good things, things that are even more good than other things. It's just like in good things, goodness is good. And what else do you need to know about it? That's why we're doing anything, isn't it? Because that's why everyone's doing what they want. That's why they compromise their personal integrity so they can enjoy things they know are good. Not that you should do that, but that's why we have problems with things like crime and corruption and tyranny and injustice, things like that. Those people enjoy good things like anyone else. You would enjoy those good things too, most likely. And they feel like those things are at risk, so they won't be able to enjoy them, and thus they do whatever they need to do to keep enjoying those things. And that's why they do whatever they do that's a problem. But it is good to enjoy things. I mean, that's about all we want to do anytime. Do any of you want to do anything else other than enjoy what is good? I mean, think about it. Anything at all. You want to like, well, I mean, why would you want to know wisdom? Why would you want to contemplate wisdom? Because wisdom's good, and contemplating wisdom feels good, and it also has a bunch of good effects otherwise. So yeah, that's still enjoying something good. You want to learn, yeah, that's good. Knowledge is power. It's useful, and you can use it to do all sorts of functioning things, and that's good in its own way too. And so but so is there any reason why we do anything with our lives other than to enjoy what is good? I can't think of anything right now. I'm trying to. Even if we're like doing something that is painful, like working, like exercising rigorously, physical fitness, it is painful um, to do some like very strenuous workout. You like hurt your muscles. You literally tear them, and that makes them sore, and then you're tired after, and that's pain. But the ultimate reason we're doing that is a good result. Either it's to like create like like an aesthetically appealing muscle or body part, or gain strength, stamina, health, all good things. All good things while we do that. Sometimes it's not as immediate, sometimes it's a chain of events, which is also why we're expected to go through certain uh, why we work, why we're also willing and happy to work in general, or we should be happy, willing and happy to work, because even if work is not fun and immediately enjoyable because of whatever it is we're doing, uh, it's something we undergo so that we can enjoy what is good later. Even if it's not to enjoy something for ourselves, but to do something good with that work, that is again for something good to be done. And even if you're not enjoying that good that's being done, you do enjoy the awareness of that good happening. And that itself is a sense of goodness. That is the goodness of charity and mercy. When something good like that happens through your actions, then even though you're not experiencing that particular goodness, you experience a different kind of goodness, which is a sense of fulfillment of a moral kind, a divine grace. That's that kind of goodness. It's a goodness that comes from grace. And let's not go too far, because this could get complicated if we're talking about divine goodness and not just any other kind of goodness. Um, uh, because it doesn't come from anything else. That's how you know it comes from that. It's just like you just feel good about it. It's not because anything is happening to you. It's not because you're doing anything. It's not because you're like consuming anything or releasing anything. You're just like experiencing that goodness because of a kind of awareness you have, and what is flowing through that awareness to make you feel good. That's why you would call that divine grace of charity and mercy. Um, but let's save that for later. Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that there's no reason why we do anything else other than to enjoy what is good, and that's why it can be dangerous. That's why we always have to tell people that there's things that are sinful. We have to tell them. We have to make laws. We have to say, don't do this. Caution, don't overuse this. Put limits on this and that, because we are all trying to do things to enjoy what is good, and it's easy to get carried away enjoying what is good and have that end up working negatively by mistake. So why? So is that itself good? That's why we even we're yeah. Possibly, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to take another route though. I think that's the wire kind of like ends there at a wall and another piece of equipment, but there's another wire we can follow out. So if we're all enjoying things to feel good, then that feeling of goodness we're feeling to live for, where does that come from? It's like maybe something in our brain chemistry or something in our biology that's like creating like hormones or electrical signals, and or maybe it's like some kind of psychology we're having. Either way, it's coming from it's a bodily generated experience, and thus if it's a bodily generated experience, then it's like came biologically, and that comes back from nature, from how we emerged from nature through evolution. That's how we began to enjoy that goodness. That's why some creatures aren't able to enjoy the same things that we enjoy that are good, because our body has evolved senses to enjoy that like so much more goodness than more primitive forms we've had. And I suppose that's why we keep evolving. Uh, that's obviously a reason why we. Otherwise, it's not like we're running from something. Except sometimes we are. Sometimes we're running from a predator, and that's why we evolve. But I expect that doesn't work out too well. If you're just trying to escape a predator, you probably just burrow into darkness to get away from it. But if you're running to goodness, if you're seeking more goodness, then you're probably constantly going up. But that comes from nature, and so now we're talking about something that's like produced by the elements, molecules, atoms, elements, because that's ultimately what becomes nature. So now we've gone from we took a really big leap right there. We went from goodness that we're experiencing in our body here and now to the basic elements of nature. So that we went back like millions of years at that point, billions of years. Before the Earth is even created. When there's just like elements in the universe floating around from all the chaos and explosions and supernovas and all that stuff. Before they started like reorganizing and forming into planets, and then like forming into new elements, and then those elements like forming into basic primitive life, and then that life forming into more and more life, complex life, eventually becoming what we are hundreds of billions of years later or whatever. But ultimately, I think it's safe to take a leap without knowing all that whole chain of events, because we don't know all that. We do know that there is a link between. We can reasonably predict and believe that's the case with a theory, but it's hard to find scientific method to prove that as fact. But I don't think that makes it any less believable or true, because it certainly makes the most sense to me, and I see no other reason to believe otherwise. Uh, but those elements, those basic elements which construct nature, even those, even those are more and more complicated, built from more primitive forms. When the universe began, it wasn't all the elements at once already existing. There was the first element was hydrogen, as far as we know, according to science. And I'm going to just accept that as true at the moment, because that's like the simplest one. And it's that hydrogen that turns into. It's reasonable. Please bear with me here. Maybe I can secure that a little bit better for you. Let's see. I probably don't need to take that leap. But even all those complex elements are built from other elements that end up having reactions to each other, and they turn into new elements with those reactions that occur, which began ultimately with nuclear fusion, the hydrogens fusing and creating heliums, and then those heliums and creating with all that heat and energy, like that produces more elements, more byproduct with other whatever the hell else is out there. Dust, I guess, dust particles. What if those dust particles, they would have elements too? I guess that would be the freaking Higgs bosons or something, and the other electrons and. Well, yeah. If the nucleus ends up like colliding with others and gets a greater mass, and then other electrons just kind of start sticking to it, then you start getting new elements. Even though like there's nothing really else that's changed other than like this like nucleus kind of fusing together and gaining more mass. And then there's other electrons floating around just kind of like free and in like superheated chaos of supernovas, then those electrons could attach to those nuclei, and as that continues to happen more and more, these elements over what is it, like 10 to the negative or 10 to the 23rd power, I think, is when they talk about how old that goes back to or something. I don't know. That whole part where all those elements just started getting created, that takes like the longest time. And then things start speeding up after that. So, hard to really know what's good at that point. It all seems rather kind of arbitrary. But ultimately, that's where that goodness is coming from. And then where do we go? Where does that come from? Ultimately, that all comes back from a single source of where all of that came from, whatever that is. You don't need to anthropomorphize that, but that whatever that source is, that's capable of releasing into the Big Bang. That is the source of all that is good, because all that is good came out of that. It's I mean, we perceive that goodness in a way that is not perceived in the like beginning of the universe with all the base elements getting formed, but that goodness comes from that. It is the same. It has been brought out to be expressed through all that time. all the way from there. And the thing that makes it good is to be aware that it is good. It's not just like enjoying it, like we recognize something is good, we know it is good. We know it is good because of all kinds of different things, because it feels good, and we're able to choose it, cultivate it. It requires a kind of like awareness to know it is good and better than other things. And that awareness itself enjoys the goodness. And enjoying the goodness is good. And that all comes back from that. So that source of all goodness is also a source of awareness of all goodness. That is your divine. That's your highest divine right there. Better if you don't use any religious terms for that, because that's a much more like fundamental force of the universe. You can think about that like a force of gravity, but just the properties of it are good. The properties of it have that moral quality of good and awareness. Awareness of good. Good and awareness of good. Now, if you think about that as like having a sort of like sentience with like this plan that it had all like scripted out, I think you got the wrong idea there. That's not what I'm talking about. And let's not argue about that. That's unnecessary at this point. You don't need to know that to know where I'm going with this. So with that source of awareness of good and all that is good there, that's what we know to be the highest divine. Now, the next thing we ask is, what is the reason why any of this has happened? What is the reason why that source expanded outward? And it's reasonable to conclude that the reason for that is the same as the reason why we do what we do. It was the same reason for us and anything. To enjoy what is good. Enjoy more and more good. To like find more good, new goods, create new goods, invent goods, constantly attain higher goodness, and enjoy it. That's about all there is to it. It's not more complicated than that. That's about what you can say about everything, all beings. It's not really any different than that. At the most basic level of what we're all about. Well, we all see good things differently, but that's essentially why we're all doing anything. So that's the same reason. If that's the same reason that we have around here at the present level, that reason comes from there, and that is the same reason there. Simply to enjoy what is good. That's why all of this came into existence. Goodness, being good, to enjoy that goodness, for the sake of enjoying that goodness, and creating the goodness, and for that goodness to enjoy goodness. Now here's where we get to the meaning of life, because there's more to it than that. That's the meaning of nature. What about us though? We're on like kind of a higher level than nature. We ask these kind of questions, we think about these topics, and we want to understand more. We find goodness in wisdom and knowledge, and that is a different kind of goodness. So we find so there's something different about that quality of our being than all the other beings, because of how what we see as good and how we attain that goodness that way. So, this is where the higher level of the why comes in. So if that source of goodness is the source of all goodness, and all of it, the total epitome of infinite, ultimate, and presumably nothing can be better than that, because that's the all that is good is from that. So how could goodness even get any better if that's already all goodness? That's where we come in. That goodness imparts its goodness outside of itself into creation to be good and create goodness again. And that goodness from an external source increases on a new level all the goodness that already was existent from the source itself. So the goodness continues to increase. That's where we come in. Our meaning in life as intelligent, sentient, wise, thinking beings is to create goodness, the highest levels of goodness possible. And that goodness is also returned to the divine source as an increase in the goodness that did not previously exist without us to create it. But that's why it is said that the Creator imparted free will into humanity. Which is to say that that Creator doesn't have us on a script that knows exactly what we're doing, pointing us here and there, and has like already destined all our moves. There's nothing like that going on. You are in total control of your own self. You have that free will to choose what you will do. It is yours. And that is most significant, most important for the creation of that goodness. Because if you did not have that, if you did not have your own freedom to choose and create goodness of your own, that goodness would not be created external of the source. And if that goodness was not created external of the source, it would not be able to add to the source and all goodness that already is. So there would be no increase if you did not have that freedom, if you did not have that separation, if you were not human, or whatever species we may be, or other species may be that are interested in the same, thinking of the same thing. Because all these, no matter where you think about it, it all comes back to kind of that central source. And the conclusions will be very much the same. But, so that is why, that is why not only we exist, but that's also why evil is possible in a good universe. Because we have freedom. And if evil was not possible, we wouldn't have freedom. That's why people are allowed to do evil. There's consequences for it. But and mainly because the universe is all good and everyone wants good. And everything wants to enjoy what is good. And so if there's evil going around, evil is like the antithesis of good. Nothing likes evil. Everything wants rid of that. Because that's like destroying goodness, and nothing is okay with that. So that's why if you do evil, you like kind of bring misfortune upon yourself. It's like the whole kind of universe is sort of like working against you doing that. But you certainly have to have that right to choose that. As you shouldn't. It's kind of dumb. We tell you not to. We tell you it's a bad idea. You should believe us. But what's important is that you have the freedom to choose it. You don't have to choose it for that freedom to make the most of that freedom. You just need to have that option available. Truly available. So that's the meaning of life there. That's why we exist. That's how you know there's a divine being. A mysterious one. And that's how you know that like our destiny is to become greater. But in the end, ultimately, and this is where the story comes in. This is where the story comes in. So, presuming the universe had a beginning that we began with, that we concluded happened, or we theorized happened, I guess we could say, reasonably theorized happened. It seems also reasonable that there is an end at some point. It has, if it started, and reasonable at the end. And so we now have a concept of eternity without any like knowledge of when, like the limits to its quantity or duration, but a beginning and an end. And this is like a more of a conceptual whole of a thing, all that together. The very course of the universe, from beginning to end, is itself a thing. What is that thing? What about that thing is good? That is the story. That is what's good about the entire thing. The story. A single story. That is the story that tells all about it. That's what's good about it. You can watch that like a movie and enjoy it. Laugh, cry, fall in love, be terrified, eat popcorn, things like that. Just to be good, just to enjoy what is good. But that's what's good about it. It's the story itself, all of it together. And that story that's like the ultimate story. That's not a story that we really have any control over. We are all within that story. But the one of the source creator is the one whose that story is relative to. That is that story, the source creator. And for that story to be possible, that creator had to impart itself into all of creation to exist apart from itself, which means that that creator is no longer like a present being that's participating as a single source in all things. Instead, it's like all things participating as that itself, as like all the fragments of that participating in it. And it put all of the goodness in that source went out into all of creation. And then all of creation becomes even better and creates new goodness, and that goodness of the source increases by the end, with the culmination of the story. And that's what makes the story good, is ultimately the wisdom that can be obtained from the story at the end. Not only the enjoyment, but also the wisdom, the stuff that is self-improving, improves one's own goodness for a better life, for an even a life that's even more good. And so that's the story. And within that, we each have our own individual stories, because we all have that fragment of the Creator, and that's all that in itself is a part of that eternity. And all those things, we are in conflict. We are always often in conflict with that. It doesn't mean we need to be hostile to each other, but we are always like finding things to compromise over, things to fight over, things to agree over, share, and do all sorts of things with. So, the story plays out all the way to the end. And then at the very end, when it's done, the Creator enjoys that goodness, the culmination of that goodness, at once. And the goodness increases, the source. And then it begins again. All that goodness, that increased goodness, goes back out into creation. There's even more goodness that time, the next time. So the whole outcome is even better than it was before. so on and so on and so on. That's the story. And that's our place in the story. The place of humanity. That's our place in the story, is to increase the goodness however we see fit. No one can really tell you other than yourself. We can offer you advice, guide you, suggest things, but you have to decide for yourself how you are going to be a creator of goodness in the universe, in the story, how you're going to improve the story. But the best way you can do that is by how you live your life. The story that your own life tells, how your life is going to interact with everyone else, with the world around you, how that's going to be interesting, I think, is probably the best way to put it. How you're going to be good. And like, what's good about all that at once is, I think for the most part, it's not always just like seeing someone do what they're supposed to do, but more like seeing them be like unique and colorful and creative and interesting and often different in their own way, even like in conflict with things, and overcoming obstacles, solving problems, experiencing romance, friendship. So all those experiences, seize them in your life. Enjoy them as much as you can. That's like the best thing you can do to cultivate goodness in your life, and goodness throughout your life, and goodness with your life, for the grand purpose of everything. It doesn't really matter so much what you do in the world for us, but at least on the grand scale of things, because that's like more of that's more of a finite aspect that is not as pertinent to the eternal constant. It's still like important and good and relevant, but it's more relative to us as individuals and our limited, smaller perspective of our own group of beings that perceive, because we don't have the mind of God of all things, if that was a mind, at that one moment, between the beginning and the end, and end in the beginning, that one moment, that's when that one mind is. After that, it's not ever there. Don't even worry about it. The best you can do is you can kind of like draw upon the forces of consciousness to like attract energy that is like with the passive state of that mind flowing throughout all things. It's still, you are the awareness at that point. Everything else is the awareness. And there's also a sense of like dormant awareness in all things. And you can sort of exactly, you can sort of like reach that and reach out to that, awaken that ever so much to maybe like shift a little bit of energy flow so that it goes one way or another. But there's really that's a very unpredictable thing. So you don't always know how that's going to turn out. Saying you're one mind with that, that would just be like being in accordance with the universal law, I suppose, which really shouldn't be that hard. The universal law, which is simply good is loved and evil is hated. Choose good and revile evil. Which maybe makes more sense now. That's like, if you need to be told anything about how to behave, it's like, okay, if you don't know, love good and reject evil. If you reject evil, if you revile it, if you see evil and you like are opposed to it and you do something to get rid of it, everything is going to be grateful. Everything. And that's going to do, that's good for you. But if you don't do anything, people are going to be like, or all the universe is going to be like, why didn't you not know that was, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you at least tell anyone? And then that's not going to work out too well for you. So that's why the law is the way it is there. Just make sure you know how to define those. Don't get all fucking weird about it, wanting to use definitions that are unclear and try and like bureaucratically sodomize it. You don't need to do that. Just technically define it as like the antithesis of destroying all good. Like, it's totally normal if what's good to you is not good to everyone else. That's reasonably normal. That's like naturally normal, even if it is abnormal in human terms. But that's still good to you. And that's still good. Even if nobody else sees it as good, that is your good. Do not forget that. Know that is your good. And make sure you know that. It doesn't have, nobody else has to agree. It is you. It is your judgment alone that matters in this. You know what is good for you because you are the one who perceives it. You don't feel other people's feelings for them. They don't feel your feelings for you. You can like maybe get impressions, get like sensations, get ideas about that, but ultimately you experience your own life. You know what's good better than anyone else, for yourself anyway. So don't be distraught if you're like, oh man, I just really like killing people. That's what I know is good. So, but I mean, so what he's saying, like, I can't follow this universal law then. And it's like, well, if you know that's good, just fucking do that. All right? That's what you know is good. You'll be hard pressed to know that's good, though. You know, like, you got some serious problems if that's the case. And you should probably seek help if that's what you think. Go tell someone that's what you think, and we'll freaking try and help your psychology so that you can redefine your values in life and correct whatever's causing your sense of goodness to get off track to something like that. But that's why some people do what you would perceive as evil when they think of it as good. It may be illegal, it may not be tolerable, it may be something that everyone's going to be outraged about, but that's why they see that as good and you see it as evil. Or see it as, yeah, and that's why they do it though. Not because they see it as evil. They wouldn't, like, that's what I'm saying. They see that as good for them. That's why they're doing it. It's not because they're doing evil. They don't really understand what they're saying if they're doing that. Unless they're like trying to create an illusion for you to recognize something. But for themselves, whatever it is, whatever they're thinking, as deranged and delusional as it may be, that's why they do anything. Anyone does anything. So that's the story. That's the meaning of life. That's how you know there's like this divine power working in. And there's more to it, but that's like the basic 101. There's a lot more to it. Like for example, the as far as I know, the highest good, the most good we could do in life is create a story, is storytelling. Storytelling is the highest good. That's like corresponds with with creation itself. That's why. That logically connects. Like storytelling is the highest good. But there's also different types of storytelling. There's like a more local level of storytelling that is pertinent to humanity and the world, and that's good in its own way, incredibly good, super amazing. That's what you do. Please keep doing that. I enjoy that stuff, like anyone else. And there's also like a higher order of goodness that is like the same kind of stuff that makes religion possible, which is a story itself. The religion is based on a story that talks about the creation and then the human story from that creation, about how what that human story has gone through to get to where they are and where that is going to. And that becomes like a subject of religion because it has a power that can be brought forth in daily life. That is on a different order of magnitude than the local storytelling. Those two things are two different things. And that power in the kind of storytelling that becomes religion, it's not only constrained to religion. That kind of storytelling can be used in the local religion to incorporate that kind of power into those stories. And that's what creates like the best of the best stories. That's where you get those ultimate masterpieces, the greatest artists who will ever live of any species in any time. They're the ones that draw onto that and do that. But there's also more power in that too, with how you internalize your own story about your own life. You can internalize that power into your own life and shape the trajectory of your future because of how you're developing your own story with that divine power. And that's not something you can just like do with a bunch of like arbitrary pieces you just like randomly put together. There's like that divine power of storytelling has specific ways it functions. There's a way to do it. It doesn't just happen as the same way that local storytelling happens. There's a bit more of a process to it for it to be effective. But there's a way to do that for your own personal life to help change the way your future is going to go because of how you can redefine what happened in the past and how that applies to your present and what your present has projected for the future for yourself. The way you have that story understood within yourself as imbued with the kind of divine power of storytelling on a higher order that I'm talking about can in fact change the entire way your life is going to go and bring about incredible results. Eliminate some terrible problems you maybe had been suffering, some like reduce traumas and can help your psychology, help you confront problems that you never thought you'd be able to get over and overcome all kinds of stuff. That's like a very important application as well that needs to be further studied and developed for people. So that's another way to use it. You're never going to be able to use it for propaganda, so don't even try. Because no, it's just propaganda is. A nation is not a it doesn't have a soul. It's not a human being. That's a creation of human beings, and human beings themselves do not have the power of the source creator to create itself with. Not even anywhere close. So that's not going to happen. Don't even try. Just if you want to tell a story for a nation, please just tell a normal story. Don't try to like make it this like political, like an influential thing to try and get something you want for a private interest. That's nobody needs that. You're going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to make people like me mad when you see like when I see how there's like something very bad happening in the government with what they're trying to do with their storytelling. Well, it's also like they're trying to use that for like a purpose that is not as good as they think it is. They're like only seeing the local perspective, not the grand story, not the big story, which is far more important to be in accordance with. And if you're against that one for your local worldly story, your local worldly story is going to suffer big time. So always be in accordance with the universal one. That's the way of the story. What else do you need to know? What else do you want to know about it? Any questions? I think maybe I should... No, there was one other thing. That one thought I was telling you, how it was more like... It was almost like... I want to say it was like a food... Like culmination of all like... Humanity is like of... it was a metaphor I thought of before that was actually like really... I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. It was like almost... the culmination of all the goodness of humanity is like... this isn't what the thought was. This is like kind of a... less poetic half metaphor. But it will get the point across. It's like an ocean of goodness for humanity. Like all of that, the ultimate highest attainment we can achieve. But then that like ultimate goodness is like just a single drop of the divine goodness for us. Like all that entire ocean is just like a single drop on the divine level above us. And that maybe like helps you put it in perspective. Like all the things that we do, all the things that we think are amazing and great. It is, if we added all those together, all through all of human time, all of that would just be like a single tiny drop compared to an ocean. On what's happening on the eternal level. That's what it was. In the afterlife, in the second life, in the when we after we die, in the mortal life, when we pass on to the next level. What's happening there? All the goodness in our life, all that culminates. It's just like a drop of all the goodness that's happening outside there in the eternal spectrum. The realm of story. That's where like all those... That's a realm of story itself. That's where eternal souls enjoy the story of the entire thing, where that can be perceived on that side of existence, but we cannot perceive that on this side. You would have to have a like quality of eternal perception to be able to see it, and we are mortal beings now, whether we like it or not, and we should like it. It's good. I like that. I like it anyway. We enjoy it, and then and there's also like a sense of risk, because your actions matter. You have a reward for a potential reward or potential like punishment. So there's like it's not just like pointless. There's purpose. It has value. It has meaning. It makes a difference to you. So that makes it like worthwhile, and then and somewhat exciting, and then it's over finally. All the get it to end. I guess I don't know. I guess it's all right. I don't have any problems with the way it works. Mortality and immortality. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'll still uploading this eventually, and you can just go ahead and email me or whatever, or find some way to contact me. I'll explain whatever you want in greater depth. Till next time.